Thanks to y'all that's been tuning in to the past streams. We've been playing a lot of Marvel's Avengers with a couple of my mods as well as my members. It's been a blast. It's been a blast. Today we're going to be talking about though. Um, I don't even know what to say because yes, it proves all of what I've been saying about both mainstream comic book companies. It proves all I said about DC fandom and the direction that they just were letting you all in on as far as where they wanted to go. They were all in on this. And people think I'm like talking out of my behind until it comes into fruition. And then people have to look like, oh, well, yeah, I guess you got a point. And it's because they, unlike myself, see the world for what they like it to be as opposed to seeing it like it is, which is what I do. Damn. So check this out. Basically, the Nerdists, I guess they got exclusive on this whole Wonder Woman Women of Heroes. So DC Comics is coming out with a graphic novel. And what the whole idea is that they're trying to highlight real world heroes. And as it says, real world heroes who take up Wonder Woman's iconic mantle and work in the fields of science, social justice, activism, politics, and more. So you see this graphic and you're like, wait, what? And then they release of course, the artists that are working on these different folks. And you see all the names here, right? Because this was the first thing I saw right here. And I saw like, well, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what else is there. And look, guys, this is the issue. And I want people to understand when we talk about politics and comic books and mainstream comic books, I know there's a lot of crackheads who will be like, well, politics has always been in comics. First of all, it was never this on the nose. And there was a lot more variety. This is what lacks in the current comic book culture, and certainly in the depictions, whether it be in the comic books, even in live action. When politics are generally depicted, it's always slanted the way of the left. None of these names are diverse in terms of their political affiliation. None of them. You see the ones that they specifically grabbed from the political side are leftists, between Rashida, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, RBG. All of them are leftists. So they're telling you these are the heroes. Now, could they have grabbed some prominent, influential, let's say more libertarian, conservative people that are on different ends of the more political spectrum? Of course. But the ones they grab specifically from the political field are leftists. And all of these guys are generally leftists. I think a couple of these are like outliers. You got like kids in a couple of these. And then you have maybe some, I believe she's from China. One of the scientists. Nonetheless, the ones, they're all leftists for the most part. Basically every single one of them leftists. There's like one or two that you can kind of isolate, not because they're not leftists, but because it just doesn't really apply, like I said, like the kid that's in here. But all these other names, they have the same damn politics, or very similar politics, to say that. This is the issue. You're seeing it coming to fruition more and more, because now when it comes to social justice, it's the cool thing to do, right? Everybody's wearing it on their sleeves now. It's not as masked. It's not as, I don't use that term, masked. It's not as masked. It's not as, okay, more of a, we're kind of, I don't want to say under the table. It's more what they have done is been able to create like stories and narratives that, you can maybe assume what it is that they're talking about, but it's not generally as on the nose. And like I said, there's always been balance. And that would even make it more tolerable if they are going this route of depicting some sort of real world politics, which I prefer that they didn't. But if they are, you can do it in a way that at least represents in a positive light other political affiliations. That's not what they do. When they do decide to get political, when they do decide to put in your face their social political views, it's generally coming from the side of the leftists. And that is the problem. So now you understand what the issue is. And this is by way of Nerdist, by the way. You can see they have all of these weirdos. It's just slanted one way. They didn't get one, not one. I mean, they could have picked anybody that was. There's other people that are also women that are of the political ideologies that don't necessarily agree with this goofball like AOC, but they didn't depict that, of course, because they see them as the enemy. Stop pretending, bro. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to sit up here and pretend like this ain't what they do. This ain't what they own. They of course are on there. They're generally leftist, and they have really an inability to depict anybody in a positive light, mainly because they demand damn allegiance with them. And they scream in these echo chambers. Generally never get really challenged like that. They have cult followings, and they generally never get challenged in any sort of field to where they have to answer to the nonsense that they spew out there. But all of this would be tolerable, and this video wouldn't even exist if there was at least some sort of, okay, guys, we're going to have at least some sort of balance. They always talking about this diversity and the tokenism that they do. Well, it's to represent the America, right? We represent America. So we can't have all of these white people. Generally, of course, there's been non-white characters and superheroes and what have you. And no, they don't ever promote those or even create new ones for that matter. And if they do create new ones, they end up being just tokenized versions of classically white characters. But that's neither here nor there. Nonetheless, all I'm saying is, they could have depicted some people in a positive light that were not leftists, because it represents America. Believe it or not, as my dogs bark in the background, there are people that aren't leftists that do a lot of great things out there in the world, very influential. And when you talk about representing America, you don't think we differ politically? Of course, that didn't apply there. Your diversity only applies to this. These guys are goofballs, but nonetheless, the more they come out with this crap, the more they prove me right. Apparently, Cammy has some things. Anything else you want to say, girl, before I end this video? I think she's done.